Hey yo, what's good? What's going on, everyone, everywhere? Welcome back to another video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out, put that post notification bell on, and set it to all before we even hop into it. Actually, by title of the video, man, we're going to be talking about PvP arenas, okay? You need to build your electricity. You're trying to stomp some people out. You know, PvP may not be getting the love it deserves, but hey, you still grinding up in there, getting your gear, whatever the case may be, having fun. PvP can still be a very enjoyable time. So we're gonna go ahead and hop into it with this one right here. Now we'll have two different specs for my DPS loadout. It's pretty much gonna be the same loadout, have a few variations if you're super speed, if you're not super speed, etc. And depending on how you want to spec. Because there is two ways to spec for arenas if you did not know. Alright, without further ado, let's hop into it. Now, you already know PvP, you don't have no tactical mods or anything like that. You're pretty much going to use Soda Cola Infinite. It's going to be the same amount of stuff every time. Well, within the range that it is. And you're only going to be allowed to use your breakout trinket pretty much. Now, outside of that, this is what my stats currently look at. I am a little bit of mixed gear. As you saw, I kind of stopped that for a little bit with the whole gear grinding, and then I use my marks for other things to finish up styles and whatnot. So I'm not gonna front, this is what I'm looking at right now. Okay. Augments are also not gonna matter, neither will allies. So we're gonna hop into the spec, okay? Now spec wise, martial arts. So what I'm using, you feel free to use any weapon. Now I will give you a few pointers on a few ones. Bow can be like pretty good, pretty average. Has a lot of good potential, pretty quick on a lot of its movements, so it can be a viable option. Brawling can definitely get you a lot of good stuff going forward, but definitely keep in mind that it is a bit slower, so definitely keep that in consideration. Dual pistols, a lot of people don't know how to really fight against it, other than the fact about like them blocking and stuff. But some of the stuff that they're supposed to be blocking towards is actually you interrupting them and doing like more melee based combat, so you can throw people off that way. Dual wield is okay. Me personally, I would take bow over dual wield, but hey, that's just me. Some people can make it work, some people don't like it at all, some people love it. Hey, do you? Hand blasters are a very viable option. Sometimes it can even be better than bow, but some of the movements can get very repetitive, especially for the more melee based combat. So definitely keep that in consideration when you are using hand blasters. Definitely utilize your weapon masteries for those. One-handed, I mean, let's all be honest. If you ever PvP'd in DCUO, you know one-handed has either reign supreme, been nerfed to the ground, or somewhere in between. Right now, it's above average. I'm not going to front, okay? Rifle's still good. That little, what is it? This right here, the overhead slam that goes into the one-handed mastery. You see rifle one-handed right there. It's still absolutely insane, all the different masteries and whatnot. The quickness that rifle can do these things is absurd. And then shield, if you didn't know, you can pretty much do a tap hold combo infinitely and go all the way up to the last one of devastating kicks. Just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with that tap and hold, and you'll make your way all the way up there. So it's definitely something that's like rifle. You can do a lot of quick burst damage. You can like pace it out a little bit as you're doing in case you need to block or interrupt or block break, whatever the case may be. Staff has a little bit of a glitch going on. If you didn't know about it, now you know. Pretty much when you do hold to like interrupt somebody, you actually, as it says in PvP, will also deflect range attacks. So you do come a little bit invulnerable for a split second when you're going ahead and lunging away at someone, whatever the case. Two-handed can be very powerful, but it is also very slow. If you do manage to actually get some of these combos and counters off on people, it is quite devastating, but then again, it's like a high risk, high reward kind of deal. Okay, and martial arts is pretty much a very well-rounded thing. It's in the same realm as, to me, it's in the same realm as one-handed. It just depends on how you want to play. Sometimes one-handed can be better because it can show to be a little bit quicker. Martial arts just all around those pretty good. Now, And I'll also recommend whatever weapon you do pick, make sure you get all the weapon masteries, please and thank you. I only say that because depending on who you're fighting, how they adapt, how quickly they adapt, will pretty much decide the outcome of that winner. Because if they think you only have a couple of moves and that's all you really have, then hey, they can counter that. They can prepare for that and miss the battle. So keep that in mind. If you expand out your moves, you expand into what you're capable of, essentially. Super speed, you don't need, or really any movement, you don't need much. I would just say definitely get your go fast, whatever it is, to make you go a lot faster. Get all your resistance and recoveries here and get breakout mastery here. That will save you tons of time in PvP. Definitely take consideration. I know, was it perfect poise, vacuum bubble, and I think there's even dust off for flight too. Those are definitely good ones to go ahead and use. If you are super speed, vortex trap is still very good. It got a little bit of a nerf, but it's still phenomenal. Still stuns them, still does a good damage. It does a little bit less damage than Whirling Dervish does altogether, but per hit, it actually does more per hit damage than Whirling Dervish does. Whirling Dervish just hits a lot more times. And then I would also recommend that you go ahead and pick up dash attack for a little bit of shield and breakout from control effects, as well as phase dodge on the occasional thing that you could get a little bit of cheese with. Metabolic boost is one of my preferred supercharges of choice, just because dash attack kind of lunges you whichever direction you're standing at, as opposed to metabolic boost, which just kind of keeps you where you are, give you a free breakout, and heal you over time. Speed drain, if your opponent is leaving you, like they're trying to run away, they're scared, whatever the case may be, you can actually stop them from doing that with speed drain quite effectively. Now, in terms of iconic power, I do have all of them just for testing purposes, but there's only a few that I will actually recommend to you. Clown Box, if you're cheesing people, Amazonian Deflection, it can be very valuable depending on who you're going against. Sonic Cry is a good move just because it's 200 power cost and it stuns them. Heat Vision could be a nice little dot damage depending on what power you are, like Atomic or something like that. Doesn't really have a lot of dots at their disposal, or even water. Just be careful with the vulnerable interrupt. More likely if you're in Heat Vision, you want to like jump cancel out of it and stuff like that. Mesmerize Lasso can be good. It could be a lot better, let's say if you're a tank or stuff, just because the extra benefits it does have, and more than likely it's going to stun them. Heartlight Shield is going to be absolutely necessary. Can't speak right now, y'all. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. Absolutely necessary for any PvP build. I only say that because it is one of the best shields in the game, and everyone's going to be rocking it and running it, whether you're dueling in arenas or whatever the case may be. So definitely make sure you are not caught lacking without it. Okay, don't really recommend you get Heartlight. My goodness. Robot Sidekick, I apologize, y'all. For that power regeneration, is reduced when you have this out and about, so we kind of want to avoid that. That can lead to our death, especially if people get us stun locked. Sonic Shock can be a good way to stun people. It's similar to Heat Vision though. You want to go ahead and cancel out of it, and really Sonic Cry is going to be your better option. Sonic Cry is more melee, Sonic Shock is more ranged. Pheromone Balloon's also a nice supercharge, quick and easy supercharge to go ahead and use, especially since it's usable while control. Maybe you're kind of like at the skin of your teeth, both y'all are pretty low health, pretty far down. Go ahead and pop this bad boy in the midst of that, as you're like maybe getting like thrown in the air, whatnot, not really able to break out. You still go ahead and use Pheromone Bloom, knock them out. It does an incredible, very high burst damage, and if it crits, it's even higher. It's absolutely amazing. Word of Power can be a great thing to go ahead and use, especially for really any role. DPS, it helps us out with our abilities there, and it gives us that little bit of power regeneration over time too, so helps out there. Neo Venom Boost helps us and can make the argument that it can be better than Circuit Breaker in the case of electricity when it comes to PvP, just because not only increase our damage but our defense as well, as opposed to Circuit Breaker, which breaks us out and then increase our damage. So you could make the argument depending on if you need a little bit more survivability, but I would even argue the case for Circuit Breaker that since it breaks you out and it's able to be used while controlled and whatnot, it can be the more viable option. Super Strength is something I definitely recommend that you go ahead and pick up. And just to recap, in terms of iconic powers that you want to go ahead and pick up, Super Strength is pretty much a must, and Hardlight Shield is a must. Okay, everything else can be very optional. Amazonian Deflection and Sonic Cry are probably some of the more bigger two that you want to go ahead and pick up. Maybe even a Pheromone Bloom just for a quick little supercharge that you can get off. Okay, in terms of stats, to me, power is king. A lot of people try to stun lock you. A lot of people try to do a lot of things, and maybe in prolonged fights, power definitely matters. Because if you can't, break out of stuff, if you're getting juggled around, if you can't sit here and block certain attacks, whatever the case may be, it's pretty much going to lead to you getting defeated. So we're going to go with Superpower Focus. In terms of a DPS spec, this is going to be the first spec that you can do for arenas. Okay, so get your critical attack chance, get your critical attack damage like normal, and then down here in the stat points, you just want to max out up to 100. Now, there is a thing that DCUO does when it comes to arena to try to like level out the playing field. People that don't have a lot of gear, people who do have a lot of gear, don't have a lot of skill points, do have a lot of skill points, etc. Which is pretty much at every 10 skill points you put in one of the stat points down at the bottom here within the last two rows for these in particular stats, you get a boost. You get quite a phenomenal boost at that, but it stacks all the way up to 100. Once you get to 100, you kind of cap out at that boost. Once you get 101, etc., all the way up to whatever the max one is. Right now it's 340, but later on, go up. It won't give you that much of a boost, and it actually gives you a slightly better increase of these particular stats than if you were to just max out the entire tree by itself. Now, what I mean by that is you pretty much say you expect precision, right? If you do 100 precision, you'll have more precision with just 100 skill points worth of precision here, as opposed to you specking into 340 skill points into the same precision tree. Okay, when you go into an arena, that is, based on how the buffs work. So definitely keep that in mind. This one way to spec your character, and doing it especially allows you to get multiple different stats. Maybe you're doing a DPS, and maybe you still want to heal yourself. So definitely get your precision, definitely get your might and power, definitely get your health. Those are top three ones you definitely want to make sure you get, regardless of anything. The next one, I would argue that you want to get vitalization, and I say vitalization more because vitalization allows you to get your power back as you're using your weapon, and generate more power for yourself. So that's definitely going to help you out in the long run, especially with those more prolonged fights. Now, go ahead and get your restoration. Maybe if you're using Arc Lightning, which as you see we're going to be using in this particular loadout here, and then to also increase your shield health pool. Now, along with that shield health pool, you want to go ahead and spec a little bit into dominance. I would say at least 10 into your dominance, just so you not only help your shield with the shield health pool that it has, but also with your stuns and whatnot. Because stun locking people helps you win a lot of matches. Especially a lot of people don't know how to deal with being stun locked, or how to get out of it, how to replicate it for themselves, whatever the case may be. But I'm going to show you with electricity how you can stun lock someone very easily. And it goes pretty much like this. The Arc Lightning is not only going to heal you, do damage to them, stun them, and hit anyone else in the area, whether it be ally or foe. It's just phenomenal. It's going to stun them, though, importantly. That's the more important thing. It's a thing that hits hard and stuns them. It's better for more group content or even duo content as opposed to just solo, but it's still good in a 1v1 just because it can heal you and do damage and stun them. Tesla Ball, it does pretty good damage, gets your supercharge up so we can use stuff like Metabolic Boost and Pheromone Bloom, stuff like that. But it also stuns them like crazy multiple times over, back to back to back, which is going to be phenomenal. Anyone in that area, it's going to be phenomenal. Especially put this over a node point in an arena, they're pretty much going to have to roll out of the node point, let you capture it to make sure they don't keep getting stunned over and over again. Tesla Blast is going to be our next ability that we're going to use, and it's pretty much going to be our more spam ability to get out a little bit quick burst of damage. Maybe you're doing a weapon combo and similar to precision, you'll just clip the last little animation part of your weapon combo with Tesla Blast to just get that little bit more damage out there. It's quick, it's easy, very short cooldown, very low power cost. So you're gonna be able to spam this almost to your heart's content, depending on how much power you got going in there. Okay. Vortex Trap, if you are super speed, it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. It's going to not only stun them, but do a good amount of damage to them. And a lot of times they can't block it, you can't interrupt it, you can't do nothing about it. So you got to sit there and take it pretty much. So that is going to be something that they're going to have to deal with and you're going to benefit from. Now, Flux and Heartlight Shield is pretty much going to be your power shield, and the Heartlight Shield here, you want to rock the 2 shields because you pretty much want to always make sure you have your shield on. Actually, these are 300 power costs and everything else is 200 or 100. Okay, I try to keep power low here because you want to pretty much be able to always use these and save your power up so you can hit a shield when need be. Maybe you're at the brink of dying, so you can pop your shield and maybe turn the tides of that fight. Okay, now if you're not super speed, you can definitely throw in something like Electrogenesis in the mix for a nice strong dot that's going to follow them regardless if they roll out of that Tesla ball range or not. It's going to stay on them and keep on them. Okay, now you can also throw in an Electro Burst, which not only going to do one of the best burst damage that electricity has to offer. It's similar to Savage Growth if you're nature and you've been nature before. It just hits very hard, doesn't require PI or anything like that. But it not only damages them, but heals you and your teammates and throws them and knocks them down. Okay, so it has a little bit of CC ability as well. So it's definitely something that you can throw in the mix. Now it is 300 power cost, so definitely be hesitant when just say spamming this. I would definitely recommend that you maybe even think about Amazon Deflection. This is pretty much going to be your flex spot right here, where you can throw in the Amazon Deflection, your Sonic Cry if you want to keep stunning. Things of that nature. Okay, and even if you want to throw in a Wired, I don't really recommend it for most case scenarios, but Wired can be a viable option depending on how you're using it and how you manage your power. You can even make the argument to throw in a Spark Barrage, because not only is a cheap power with a short cooldown, but it also does a good amount of damage. It's kind of up there with Test Blast, but this one's more AoE. Okay, now if you want to look at the other one, you can see how I spec for this. It's pretty much like the normal spec. Get your superpowered still, so you have your power, your critical attack chance, critical attack damage. Dump everything in might and power, because power is king, and your might will allow you to utilize your abilities to their full potential. And then I'll say pretty much dump everything else into precision, except for 10 points in health, and just do 1-1-1 for the initial stats that you gain with each of these. Okay, now that is also the other spec right there. And what I have for y'all in terms of loadout for, excuse me y'all, this video is all over the place, I see. So bear with me y'all. Keep in mind, I do put a lot of work into these videos, man. I have been PvPing a good amount. I haven't even enjoyed a few matches with the league that we had amazing time with. But yeah, these right here, this loadouts and the couple variations I gave y'all work phenomenally. They even work good for dueling, but I'm gonna have a whole dueling build and setup video here coming shortly on the channel. So stay tuned in for that. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, put the notification bell on, set it to all, not personalized, so you guys should get notified when I do drop a video. And without further ado, let me know in the comment section down below if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or even video ideas for the future. Any constructive criticism I am welcome to. Just make sure you actually explain what you're criticizing, not just be like, oh, I don't like this or I don't like that, and don't give actual reason why. Okay, just so I can actually improve upon the videos in the channel. Excuse my dog in the background. She's a little bit jealous right now that I'm not giving her my undivided attention. But without further ado, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and peace and shalom.